All right, so we are here with our very own Captain Picard. He is.
Hey guys.
Want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Sure thing. Hey guys, first time showing my face. But it's been nice meeting you and playing with you all. So as you may remember, I'm 23. I'm from currently living in Ohio. Uh, Pats fan, Tom Brady fan, huge football fan. My girlfriend tells me I talk way too much about football like all the time. Uh, I'm super happy to be doing this.
Nice. Yeah, and yeah, it's been so much fun. Just in general, I I feel like I've
Mhm.
been a little bit less active in the Discord a little bit lately. There's just a lot going on and stuff. So yeah, it's like a literally life changing thing that happened on a random
Mhm.
Friday on Reddit. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, it's been a ton of fun, and you have a pretty sweet team here. So I think we should talk about it a little bit. How are you feeling about your team right now in the context of both this season and moving forward?
So my strategy going in, I think like everyone, was the big question is that balance of do you want to win now or do you want to kind of build for the future? So I think I picked ninth, I want to say. Um, and at that point, a lot of the, I think, really solid future picks were starting to come off. So I kind of settled into win now with kind of trying to build a solid core for the next 2 or 3 seasons, and then add depth piece around it was kind of my main goal. For the most part, I think I did that pretty well. There's a couple picks I would definitely do different. Like I definitely, if I could do the draft again, would have taken DK over Tyreek with my first pick. I think that's probably the biggest one. And only two quarterback, not a huge deal for this year because they both had their buys. But going forward, definitely a little scary. Probably going to be trying to with someone or something, trade up in the draft, something.
Yeah, and I think I did not do your team. It was Stags that did your team, right? And the
Yeah.
Right. So you actually never got my analysis of your draft, which is interesting for this
Hmm.
conversation. So I can kind of talk about what I see from some of your picks here. Uh, I wouldn't beat
Absolutely.
yourself. I wouldn't beat yourself up too much about the Tyreek over DK thing. I think clearly a lot of us missed on this, and there's still evidence that he has some ups and downs with 4 points this
Hmm.
past week against the Rams. So that kind of thing happens.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I really liked a lot of your draft, honestly, and clearly the Dalvin Cook pick in particular is really paying off for you. Although you are 1-2, which is interesting.
Hmm.
Your roster looks tougher
Yeah,
than.
I bet that's luck. I played Stags, I want to say the first week, and we were the two top scorers. He edged me out. And then I edged out Raw Dog the next week. And then, well, this past week was kind of rough. Um, but yeah, we'll see. And
Yeah,
there's still plenty. I've had pretty solid points for every week. So I just feel like I kind of have to get into the playoffs, and then anything can happen.
yeah, it's definitely some rough luck coming along here throughout the season so far for you, and it's and then you're playing me this week actually, so that'll be interesting to. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, I want to win this matchup, but yeah, it's just you still have a really high point scored, so that could definitely come into play. Like, can I sort by points for? Oh, actually, you have the. It puts an
I think I'm
emoji.
first in both.
Yeah. Not so super is first in points against, but only by point like 11, I guess. One
Oh
point. Yeah.
wow.
Anyway, it's very close. So, but yeah. So even if you don't, if like Dalvin Cook keeps this up and stuff like that, I think you'll be and a pretty good spot to make the playoffs. And at that point, anything can happen, of course. There's
Mhm.
yeah, it's a really interesting roster. What about what do you think about your long term prospects? Other than we talked about quarterback for a second there, but how do you feel about your running backs and your receivers and Mark Andrews and kind of more specific pieces like that? You got Tyreek on your bench right now.
Um, so I feel, oh yeah, I haven't put him in since the past. I have to do that. I haven't like touched my lineup at all. I should do that before the league starts. Um, I feel mostly pretty good about running back, about wide receiver. I think I have some pretty decent depth. I drafted a bunch of players who, in the later rounds, who were kind of dark throws, but who were either injured or were young and not starting a role yet. I kind of took a chance on some guys like On Johnson, for example. Like he's not starting right now and not super relevant right now, but he's also young. I think he's 23. And he showed last year that he could handle the starting workload pretty well before he got injured. So I feel like a guy like him, a guy like Terry Cohen, is good to have. I feel kind of similarly about wide receiver. Tight end, I definitely think I'm a little bit thin outside of Andrews. I guess what happens with him kind of depends what goes on with Lamar Jackson. I'd say he's been good but not great this year. And
I agree with that.
the production from Andrews, especially Hollywood Brown, has kind of suffered as a result of it.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I think happens from him is going to determine a lot. But obviously, Andrew's still young, still a great player, so anything can happen with him.
Definitely. Yeah, there are some picks in your draft that I just absolutely loved, and some of them are even paying off already. Like Curtis Samuel is a fascinating fantasy dynasty asset, in my opinion. Such a strange
Mhm.
4 point game in here, but he was just destroying teams for a little bit, and his future's hard to predict though, But when you got him in the
Mhm.
14th round, that's looking fantastic right now. I think as a whole in terms of value that could pay off with, and same with picks like
Mhm.
Paris Campbell is really interesting to me. Do you still have him? Yeah, you do. Yep.
I believe I do. I think I traded Lazard, I traded Jarwin, which might have been a little steep. I traded them for Madison and a pick, but I
Mm.
wanted to have Cook's handcuff in case
Oh
he
yeah.
went down again, given his history. Um,
Yeah, I definitely still like that trade for you overall. Getting the Madison is pretty important on your team because Dalvin Cook has shown that before. Obviously, that he can miss some time.
mhm.
Really nice, smooth pick with Eckler here in the 6th round. I think too, a player that has proven
Mhm.
that he could be a massive contributor when he's on the field, and I could see him meshing well with Herbert. He really didn't get much time with Herbert, but he still even had this 30
Yeah.
point game in here. So I mean, he could even help you this year very well. It's apparently 3 hours ago, um, roughly week 12. I mean, that's a big
That would be
deal.
that would be amazing. I was thinking that would be a pick for next year, but obviously, if I can get him back this year, he is amazing. I think he instantly gets slaughtered into my running back too, unless something else happens. Because he's just been fantastic these last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think it's a very big like consistency upgrade probably over Leonard Fournette, who's currently your RB2, and I'm not seeing really
Yeah, for sure.
other options. Yeah, so running back's an interesting position for you, I think, all things considered.
Mhm.
And Kirk Cousins is definitely an interesting player to to follow.
Yeah, he was. That was more kind of I'm like, oh shoot, I need another quarterback. I think he's the best one available, which I think at that point in the draft he was. It was mostly bench players at that point. So I figured I would scoop him and see who else I could get later.
And then it turned out no one really showed up for you. Jarrett Stidham
Mm-hmm.
is an intriguing. Do you still have him? He's
I don't think so.
yeah.
I might not.
I think you're only rostering 2 quarterbacks. In fact, I do think that
Yeah, I think I am.
it's not always horrendous to have to play a non QB in the Superflex.
Mm-hmm.
But and you still have your first round pick, which there has been a lot of pick swapping going on. I know I got
Yeah.
involved in it, and you've mostly held off on giving that up. What's your thinking with that? Like, especially considering your team seems like a late first round kind of team that you'll be picking from.
So a lot of it's just that I've been super busy and haven't really looked at it too much. I know I've been talking a bit with Thiegel, with Pastor. Mike Bear messaged me the other day. I've been in some stuff with with them. I don't know. I'm definitely not opposed. Like I'm kind of pretty open to doing whatever. Obviously, if someone wants to get someone like Cook for me, the price is going to be pretty damn steep. But I'm definitely probably looking to see, depending on how the Eckler news shapes up, if I can roll my first round pick in something to get an upgrade at running back or to get another quarterback or something. Might be a move that could really help me.
Definitely sounds like there's interest among the league for first round picks. I know Thiegel's
Yeah.
been fishing for him for sure. It's interesting to see how much has changed already since our draft, which was only a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Like I feel like Thiegel went from a promising win now team to he's just totally ready to tank. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
and it's crazy how quickly a player can look differently than you expected them to look and things like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Taylor at 2.11. That is
Yeah.
that's not what I would do at this point. So
No.
uh,
I know it's super interesting. I mean, fantasy in general, especially Dynasty, how different things can go from what you think going in. Um, like Taylor was phenomenal in college, but hasn't really shown that in the NFL yet, and he's still young. I'm not ready to give up on him yet, but he's not the every week running back one. I think a lot of people drafted him to be in redraft. Um, and I guess see how that changes.
yeah, it's just a matter of when the draft happened because at that point, like I think we drafted while they were on bye, and he had been
Mm-hmm.
looking better and better a couple of nice games in a row, and then right out of bye, it's just been horrendous ever since. It's almost like inexplicable. But that's fantasy football for you. I mean, obviously football in general,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, any given Sunday.
definitely. So let's see.
It's like they,
Thiegel has arrived. Are you there, man? Doesn't look like he's there.
I see him. It also looks like he's muted.
Okay.
I don't know.
Here's an interesting like kind of activity that I had planned maybe, which was to look at
Mm-hmm.
some of the trades that have happened and just kind of give an analysis on each side of the trade and what you think about it. There's been a whole lot of them, so
Absolutely.
that's a lot of content. So you can't see my screen, but if you go into Sleeper and on the League tab and just scroll down, you'll be able to see just trades, and so that can be referenced. So I'm looking at this pretty recent one yesterday between Pastor and Josh, where Pastor got Matt Ryan and Mike Evans, while Josh got Ryan Tannehill, Preston Williams, and a third rounder. And I thought it was very interesting.
That's spicy.
Like, which side do you like more? I guess I'm just interested in hearing what you would rather have in this exchange.
This is really interesting. I guess in terms of dynasty, how old is Tannehill versus Run?
I want to say he is like 30 something, 32, and
Matt Ryan's
35.
older.
So
Matt Ryan's older, but he's producing really well now, and I could understand if someone was worried about Hell being so touchdown dependent. I also think that reports of Evans' death are greatly exaggerated.
I agree.
So definitely interesting for both sides. I think Josh wins this immediately, but it'll help pass more long term.
I think the most interesting piece to look at for this particular trade for me is Preston Williams and how much you believe in like the Tua to Preston kind of combo moving forward. Because otherwise, I think obviously Mike Evans appears to be the better player, and
right,
the quarterback swap is so interesting to me. I think I'd rather have Ryan, but and then a third round pick. It's hard to evaluate just how valuable that is too, because I think this year a third round pick would have gotten you probably something pretty good. I mean, think about how many receivers and stuff have been pretty good this year. But most drafts, you're probably not getting anything out of the third round. I guess it's possible, but
possible. You never know.
Right.
I mean, look at the real NFL and how many. I mean, obviously it's not as common, but like AB out of the 6th round, Kamara came out of like the 4th round. Like anything can happen. You just never know.
Yep. So it's still having picks is nice and it's interesting. Can't wait to see our first, rookie draft as a league.
Yeah.
I'm going to be.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
So excited for the NFL draft.
Yeah, no, and I'm super interested to see what happens with. We were talking about the Williams connection. As a Parker owner, it's something I've been watching really closely. I get to watch much of the last game. I know Parker got targeted, I think 7 times, I want to say. Only caught 2. So I'm interested to see if that goes up, goes down, stays about the same. Kind of the target share changes with the new quarterback, because he was definitely fits his favorite target. I guess I should see if that's going to continue or not.
Yeah. It is very hard to say. I feel like Devontae Parker is too good. I mean, he's been producing really nicely. Last year was pretty good too. I remember he was not very hyped going into redraft leagues last year, but he ended up having a very nice season.
Last year in one of my leagues, I picked him up off waivers. And AJ Brown and Tannehill carried me to a championship.
Nice. Yep. I think that's pretty a fairly common like league winning pickup that I think a lot of people had last year. Yeah, he outseeded expectations for sure. And I don't know. There's a pretty juicy schedule for receivers coming up for him. at Denver, at
Mhm.
Jets, and then home against Cincinnati. So
Mhm.
obviously, I'll be watching closely because I am very invested in Tua right now. So yeah, I
Yeah.
can't wait to see how that offense shapes up and if Tua can get a rhythm. Um, also,
He's had a promising start.
oh yeah,
Um, fan of a division rival. I'm a little
yeah.
scared when the Pats play the Dolphins again.
How do you feel about Damian Harris as a Pats fan? You've probably watched him closer than I have.
I I really like him. A big part of the offense has been better these past few weeks. I mean, our offensive line has been playing out of their minds, but he's really taken advantage of that. He's just been awesome, breaking off big chunks, getting solid yards after contact, and really hitting the whole hard. I feel like he's the player that Bill was looking for when he took Sony Michelle.
Yeah. What a flop of a pick he was. What the heck?
Yeah. I
Jeez.
gotta say, I love Bill. He's the greatest head coach of all time. Um, one of my hot takes that got me downvoted on our Patriots is that Bill is an average at best evaluator of skill positions. Outside of like Jules, Gronk, and Dion Branch and Hernandez, he hasn't really done that much.
That's true. Nikhil Harry is another just total flop, I feel like, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
What is up? Stags has arrived.
It's just moonlighting for a minute. Oh, Gavin Picard's a real human. That's cool.
I am, in fact, a real human.
Proof.
I finally show my face.
Yeah,
I won't need to steal your thunder. I'm gonna head out before some of us jump on later, but just wanted to check in for a minute.
No, sure, yeah. Let's chat. Let me pull up.
What were you talking about, Captain? I heard names that I wasn't familiar with.
We were just immediately talking about Damian Harris. We were kind of at first before that talking about the Tua to Preston Williams connection and what might happen with that. And I was like, well, I think Tua is the real deal. As a Patriots fan, I'm really a little scared for when the Dolphins play the again. And then, yeah, we started talking about Harris. I was like, he's been getting good yards after contact, and I feel like he's kind of the player that Bill was hoping for when he drafted Michelle.
They really use Rex Burkhead in a frustrating way too. Like last week he vultured like 2 TDs or something.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I want no part in the Patriots backfield ever in fantasy. I played James White when Brady was there in PPR leagues. And past that, I would pretty much take him or take Brady, Gronk, and Edelman, and that was about it.
Didn't LeGarrette Blunt have a really good season?
Yeah, he did.
Recently? Yeah.
2014, 2015, 2016, he was so good for us.
Yeah.
I think the years he had like 14 touchdowns or something.
He was a fun player. I think he's out of the league now.
Yeah.
Deion Lewis was great for a year and a half.
Yeah.
It's true.
He had one good year in fantasy.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your team then, real quick, Stags. Hopefully you have some time.
Sure.
How are you feeling about the state of things? You're stocking up on first round picks. I bet Thiegel wants that back. And
he was so close to losing last week, and I was gonna be so pissed because every person, like each game, went just the way that I wanted it to for me to try to get a higher pick. I was 0.24 points.
so close.
Right. Yeah.
But
I don't know about. Oh, so yeah, Fiegel and I were talking. Part of the reason that I stocked so many picks was I just wanted something to do in the off season this year. Like if I can research players, like why not? That's a fun pastime.
I agree. That makes the offseason a ton of fun. And is that Josh? Man,
Yeah,
Whoa,
Josh, welcome.
we got a whole shebang of people, and Fiegel just lurking in the darkness, not saying
Yeah,
anything.
he said just can't talk in the
Oh,
chat. It looks like.
oh, okay. So he's listening. Gotcha. Okay.
They say they say your they say your penis size is inversely proportional to the size of your headphones.
I'm
Or is it the other way
compensating.
around?
I
I
got
don't
quite a few headphones.
Hey,
I can't-
Compensating for.
well,
I just feel so
you'll
I
just-
feel so out of place not having massive cans on. Y'all are so official right
That's all
now.
good.
It's like being on Joe Rogan or something.
I'm a musician and a
Yeah.
composer. This hobby is special to me. I have headphones galore, like all over my room.
The production values here are definitely on par with the Joe Rogan show.
Dude, I love Joe Rogan. It's so funny.
Oh,
So
man.
I think a few of your teams are actually like good this year, aren't they? A few of you are competing, right? I think Josh is pretty good.
I'm
I'm
all
alright,
in
I think.
for a championship these next couple of years.
Next couple of years, yeah.
I'm kind of in the in between. I'm a little bit spooked about this year. But if
Yeah, you're second
Salvan
in place.
Ahmed is here, he's gonna carry me to a title.
Did you pick him up because of the Reddit post about him?
I read a lot of Reddit posts, so it's possible that that was involved. I don't know.
Right.
After Gaskin went down, I just grabbed a couple guys. Like I had Patrick Laird for a minute, but he looks like nothing. So this might be a hit. He looks really good. But then again, maybe Gaskin comes back and then nothing happens. That's possible too. So what's up, Josh? Let's talk about Josh's team.
Oh, my
Second in the standings, only behind the 3-0 Mike Bear. We were talking about the trade that you made a little bit ago, where you picked up Tannehill and did you get Preston? Yeah, and then a pick.
Yeah. For Mike Evans and Matt Ryan.
That's really interesting to me. What was your thinking there? Do you think you won the trade?
At the moment, probably not, because Preston isn't even playing. But I think when he comes back, he definitely has a lot of potential, especially, I think, compared to Mike Evans, who'll be limited in that offense. And I like Tannehill's playoff schedule. After he gets through this brutal stretch, and then it's better than Matt Ryan's. So that was kind of like it's kind of an even trade, I feel like. And then Preston's a lot for the future, since I have a lot of like older receivers, a lot of like win now pieces. I kind of wanted a younger guy for the future.
Do you think, and maybe this is just Thiegel's bias, Thiegel's convinced the Miami Dolphins will draft Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase in the first round next year? If they draft a receiver high, do you think you'll end up like losing the trade then?
I mean, probably. It all depends on how Mike Evans turns out. If he has like a resurgence, but if he just kind of falls off.
Preston Williams is so tall. That's good.
We'll see. I don't know. I was saying I think you lost in the short term, but will probably end up winning long term just by virtue of that you're getting younger players and a pick that could turn into anything. Even though I do think that reports of Mike Evans' death are greatly exaggerated. I think he's just too good to be irrelevant forever. But you just never know with the draft. Like I was saying, looking at the real NFL, you have guys like AB in the 6th or Kamara in the 4th, or some crazy story that a late round pick can turn into. So I'm super interested to see how everything with that trade ends up playing out.
Yeah, for sure. I just have a lot of my receivers like Keenan Allen, Adam Thielen, even like Brandon Cooks is up there. They're all like 27, 28, or even like higher. Like Adam Thielen's I think 30. So I feel like having a younger guy there, it's definitely just helps me a lot long term. even if I'm not going to be playing him right now.
You also have Tyler Boyd, and for some reason I thought he was younger than 26, but he's
Yeah.
he's pretty dang good. He's been
Yeah, he's
very
pretty solid.
consistent this season too, for sure. And yeah, I mean, you have some pretty interesting pieces all throughout your team at like running back and tight end. I feel like you're doing really nicely. It's just it's good that you got younger at quarterback with Tannehill, because Tom Brady, I mean, realistically, how long can he keep it up?
I mean, you never know.
Never know. He says he wants to play till 45, but really it looks like he can go longer if he wants to. Then again, this is the NFL, so we'll see.
Can you guys imagine though? What if he goes to like 47 or something absolutely outrageous? Oh my gosh.
I know. Me and my friends all meme about him. Like, what if when the Tampa Bay signing happened, we're like, oh, what if he goes to Tampa Bay and starts a second dynasty that lasts another years?
Right.
He's injecting Frank Gore's blood.
Must be.
There's a meme on the Patriots subreddit where people are like, the reason Bill drafted so many young quarterbacks when Brady was there was that Brady could leash their life energy and play forever.
Yeah. Frank Gore.
Deagle's got a great question. Josh, he says you don't use your taxi squad. Is it true?
Because I don't have any rookies.
Oh!
Wait, but
I
it's
kind of overlooked
empty.
that one.
Aren't there like some like terrible rookies you could pick up?
Yeah.
The days.
But he'd have to drop people. You'd have to
'cause there's
drop
extra spots.
one player.
True.
Is there? I think you have to put them on your bench first, then you can put them in the taxi
I
spot.
think you have to bench them first, because I think I had that problem earlier, if I remember right.
You don't have a single rookie.
Yeah.
Get rid of Benny Snell.
Yeah, can't you drop Ross Dwelly? I mean, like...
Shout out.
He looked good.
I don't know.
Shout
I
outs
really
to
like Ross
Thaddeus.
Dwelly's name. But
Shout outs
That's
to
fair.
Thaddeus Moss chilling on my taxi squad, pretty much just because he's Randy Moss's son.
it's probably something I should do, but let's see.
What's your guys'
Your
favorite
team's too good.
taxi squad player? I'm a big Quintez Cephas fan. I think he's gonna bust out soon. And also Jordan Love. That
Mhm.
I'm gonna destroy the league with that one someday. I don't know. Dynasty's so fun because you can hope for something like that.
I subscribe to a hype train for this guy who apparently blew out the combine, and he's currently on Miami's. He's been going between their practice squad, Kirk Merritt. So that's always fun. Spend it on massive hype trains.
I mean, are you? Oh, you have him. Okay.
I do, yeah.
Okay. All right. I was like, shoot. Let's see. Yeah, I think I've seen him on like r/Dynasty FF, which is definitely goes a lot deeper on those kinds of players than the regular fantasy football subreddit does.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think I spend more time on Dynasty now than I do the regular fantasy football Reddit.
Yeah, I've really only been using the regular one for news for the kicker posts.
Well, there's not a lot of good. Tell me if you agree, Captain Picard. There's not a lot of good. I don't know if that's your real name. There's not.
No, it is.
There's not a lot of good discussion on our fantasy football. Like it's all memes. It's all like. Well, I
memes and hype trains.
Yeah, I don't know. I started an alternative subreddit to try to get rid of some of that. We got up to like 7,000 subscribers, but then I ran out of time. I don't know if any of you guys were on it, but we tried to do that for a little while. But Dynasty is a little bit better. It's still kind of the same, but there are far fewer posts.
Yeah. I remember it was like week 3, the community position rankings in our fantasy football when James Robinson was the running back 2 on the community rankings behind Kamara. And I'm like, you do realize Derrick Henry exists. Like I know you're excited that your waiver ad is awesome, but Derrick Henry, that is all.
Well, like Dalvin Cook and stuff, I mean, James Robinson's been a very nice story, but they had him ranked number
Mhm.
2. I mean,
Yeah. Like, if I would not take him over Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry, or CMC, assuming he's healthy. Which, can I just say, I would really appreciate if I can play him more than 3 times in my redraft league.
yeah. I mean, hopefully. It's a rough situation. There was you got me thinking a little bit about like trade values and then you brought up Dalvin Cook, and that reminded me of a conversation I had with Zami pretty recently, where we were looking at a trade values website chart thing, and I know we've talked about these a little bit in the Discord and how to interpret them, especially in the context of how people are valuing things in our league. And one particularly egregious example, I think, in this, I wish I knew what the link to it was. Maybe I could find it in my conversations with Zombie, but it said that DJ Moore was more valuable than Dalvin Cook, and that just doesn't make any sense to me. And so the trade value charts that are out there, I like to look at trade value charts to try and plan my trades, but it's so hard to feel good about them when I see something like that just makes absolutely no sense with my evaluation of players, both short and long term. So I don't know. What do you guys think about those kinds of trade value charts, and how do you guys use them? Anything like that?
And I look at them. I think they're a helpful reference, especially some of them that are kind of a amalgamation of like a few different experts' rankings. I find a lot of them tend to be kind of similar, except for a couple of picks. So it can be a good gauge, like a quick sanity check of, am I ripping this person off or am I getting ripped off? But obviously there's a few questionable things in there, like what you just mentioned, that you kind of have to be mindful of.
There's a decent one actually just posted on one of the subreddits. I think I like it as a base plate for redraft. I think for Dynasty, I haven't looked at a single, for all my trades, I've not used trade values. I think it actually makes it harder to evaluate. There's so many more dynamics to Dynasty that I don't know. I don't like it for, I mean, I think they're fine. They're fun to look at, but I don't think they're really useful. I guess I trust myself enough to try to evaluate it, whereas a trade chart would not influence my decision. And I feel like the trades I've made have made my team better. But
Yeah, I agree. I go more on like gut feeling, and how I feel about the player in the future, more than like what the calculator would have to say. Like how much I value picks versus like how much they do, and what I can get for the player, and how much I like see in them. I think that's more important to me.
Yeah, and especially people spend a lot of time trying to quantify fantasy football in as many ways as they possibly can and translate every single player into a number and things like that. And it's just impossible to actually truly succeed at that, just with how fast anything can change in football. So it's interesting. I was using them more often early on, but the more that I've had discussions, and seen the kinds of trades that happen in our league, the more I've realized that they're just a useless, basically, resource when it comes to Dynasty. And
Mhm.
Thiegel's chiming in on the Discord.
Thiegel says not going. Hold on. Is
He says you
not
should
going
make
with the
your own
calculator
list.
feels better. It's your scouting and your decision. So if it turns out well, it just feels so good for you. Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree as
What
well.
I really liked, what really gave me a sense of what it is this value was when I went back and looked at future rookie drafts. Said, what would I be like rolling the dice on for this pick? What are the chances I hit or not hit? And that really helped me get a feel for, okay, I got a 30% chance of getting a good wide receiver in the top of the second round or whatever.
Yeah. And that's exciting. And that's why Dynasty is a ton of fun. Why we're all here, basically. Just the
Mhm.
I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
Do you think, well, this is also a weird year because of COVID. The NFL is weird this year. And the college football will make next year weird because a bunch of people have sat out and everything's different. But do you think,
Mhm.
I feel like there's a lot of recency bias with how good, there's been a lot of quarterbacks drafted. We had two great ones just step in and be wonderful this year. But there's been a lot of there's been a lot of Paxton Lynches along the way. And I just wondered, not just for quarterbacks. Like, this was an incredibly deep wide receiver class. How many rookie wide receivers have stepped in? Do you think we're getting biased and just saying rookies are always just going to be great right when they start? Like, do you think we do have a really deep class this year, and we're going to be disappointed in the future when all these like potential rookies don't like produce right away?
I think it's just an exceptional year in particular. And you're right. I mean, but I think a lot of us have watched the NFL for a very long time, but maybe not all of us. Like, I'm not sure how long Thiegel has, for example, but
I just started watching this year.
really? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, nicely done so far.
thank you.
But yeah,
Thiegel says it's his first year too.
wow. But anyway, like Stags was saying, I've seen the rise and fall of so many rookies that looked promising. Marcus Mariota is just nobody now. Jameis Winston was somebody's backup, and the list goes on and
RG3.
on. RG3,
Kaiser.
Deshaun Kaiser, he's from the Browns to the Packers to gone basically. So yeah, Trent Richardson looking like a good rookie year, and then everything's a disaster the next year. So you can go through and see all kinds of examples of both of rookies that are just bad right away, like Laquan Treadwell, and even rookies who looked pretty good at first and then it fell off a cliff. Maybe Jonathan Taylor, that happens to him. Not to make it about me, but so that's just my thoughts on that kind of that topic. It's a unique year so far, and it even still might. I don't want this to happen, but players like Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb might not meet the expectations that people have for them given right now. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's statistically likely that at least one of the big rookie receivers this year is not going to continue to produce. Like, it just doesn't. That doesn't always happen. So
That's why I don't have any rookie receivers.
right, of course. Stock up on. I mean, you're not like old as heck at receiver, but yeah, no rookies.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think unless you guys have another topic to bring up or something, that we could probably call it here. We're at like 45 minutes. And,
Thiegel says he's scared for Claypool. So many fumbles. Oh, I did see, actually, if we could go into this while we're on the topic of rookies. Pretty interesting post yesterday. That was people trying to rank all the rookie receivers this year. Like who was the best currently. I don't know. We could talk about something like that if we wanted to.
I'd be interested to hear some thoughts. might give away strategies.
Yeah.
To be honest, ranking the rookie receivers.
And
On
I think, well,
like individual
I think-
talent or fantasy opportunity taken into account too.
I'm guessing, well, it would probably be most relevant for us to talk about fantasy output specifically. But I don't think it's bad to focus on either, especially with how they kind of play into each other. Like, I think CeeDee Lamb, had Dak not gotten injured, would probably be still the talk of the town as far as the rookie wide receivers go, because he was just so consistently great before Dak's injury. Now with the constant rotation at quarterback, it's obviously a lot harder for him. And so people have been looking even more than they were at guys like T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson, were obviously still super good, but I felt like not talked about quite as much. Now are.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to think about how much to weigh in on the individual player talent. I guess the best example that comes to mind is that I think Jerry Jeudy is probably, I don't know, second or so in actual talent. The problem is his offense and quarterback are going to be holding him back for absolutely the short term. Who knows for how long? Because it's just
Yeah, because
because
who would you rather have for the next 3 or 4 years? Jerry Jeudy or T. Higgins? Jerry Jeudy or Chase Claypool?
I think I'd rather have Jeudy than Claypool. But
I'd
think
rather
I'd-
than Claypool too.
I'd rather have Higgins.
I think I'd go Higgins, Jeudy, Claypool.
And then where do you put Justin Jefferson? He has to be first, right?
I think he's above.
Yeah,
Above
I think
Higgins
so.
and Jeudy.
I guess it depends if you value consistency or upside, because Higgins has been like super consistent every week. Jefferson's had weeks where he gets you 25 points and weeks he gets you 4 points. That said, that tends to be what helps you when you're going for a championship. So I'd probably take Jefferson, but I think both are pretty defendable answers.
And we haven't even put CeeDee Lamb into this ranking yet that we're doing right now.
Mhm.
How do you... LaVisca Chenault's a real player, in my opinion. And,
Oh, yeah.
geez, there's probably even more.
Even
Raggers
have,
looks
like,
pretty good.
Ruggs.
Pittman.
Ruggs
Yeah,
is
Ruggs.
interesting. I feel like he's not going to be great this year. I think he's someone to watch. I think like 2 years from now, he's going to be a monster.
It's a much bigger gamble than pretty much every single other player we've talked about, though, So
Absolutely.
he hasn't really proven he can do it. I mean, has he even had a single particularly good
I think-
game?
I think
Week
he's also
5
an
against
example.
City, he blew up on my bench in my redraft league.
Yeah. He had 20 against Kansas City, which is a tough team to score on right now.
I think he's also someone who's a lot more valuable, like in real football, than he is in fantasy.
100%.
I definitely agree with that.
Who do you all think hits the highest peak, whether it's a year or 3 years from now? Cam Akers, Zach Moss, AJ Dillon.
Moss.
Probably Moss.
I don't think any of them will have a particularly
I guess-
high peak.
What's interesting is the Packers just signed Bakhtiari to the biggest contract ever. So people are speculating,
Mhm.
as a Green Bay fan, they've been speculating, well, maybe Aaron Jones leaves, and then Jamal is taking the next step for pass catching, so maybe AJ Dillon becomes the new Jamal Williams. It's interesting. Hard to think that they get rid of their best player, though. Second best player.
Yeah, I was going to say Devontae
Third
Adams
best
and
player.
Aaron Rodgers are both better.
Their best running back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if AJ Dillon's the new Jamal Williams, then that's a solid player and a great handcuff, but not necessarily like an RB1 or something, or like kind of like an RB3 flex, I would say. And I think Zach Moss can be an RB2 pretty consistently. And Cam Akers, I'm not seeing anything from him. I mean, I guess he had a decent game recently.
Mm-hmm.
No, he didn't. Never mind. He
No,
got
I don't think he.
nope. He has done absolutely nothing so far. So he's third for me, though, behind Dylan. Who do we think will have the highest peak out of all those receivers we were talking about? That's an interesting one.
Highest peak. Oh, hey, Zami.
What's up?
Hey,
All of the ones that we looked at.
Which 2020 rookie receiver will have the best peak, be the best overall player, regardless of what point in their careers it happens?
It's so hard to know without knowing, like, does Denver get a quarterback?
Or
yeah, I
Minnesota?
think there's a lot of questions. Does Denver get a quarterback? Also, what happens with the wide receivers in Pittsburgh? Because Deontay Johnson, when he's in, is the outside role that AB had before, and he's going to cap Claypool's upside. But if one of them gets shipped off, or if Juju leaves in free agency, if things get shaken up there, he could be really interesting. Because Ben's targeted him a lot when Deontay is not in the game.
It also depends on what happens in Dallas as well. If they like keep all three, or I don't know, if one of them leaves somehow, CeeDee Lamb could step up, and if they re-sign Dak, I can see CeeDee Lamb having a pretty high peak.
They're kind of
I
locked
think they
in.
re-signed Dak.
I do too.
They're kind of locked in on Amari Cooper, I think, contract-wise, and he's going to be tough to trade. They're
They
paying
just
him a
extended
lot.
him.
Yeah, they're paying him a lot. Here's let's say Adam Thielen's only got another year or two, probably, and let's say Minnesota upgrades at quarterback one way or another. I could definitely see Justin Jefferson being an absolute monster for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
So that would probably be my vote for that kind of hypothetical conversation. Other places have like too many weapons, I think. Like, feels like there's a lot of weapons in Cincinnati, so T. Higgins probably won't be super ultra dominant, I think it'd be great.
Right.
But fantasy wise, Justin Jefferson seems to have the clearest path, and he's only 21. A lot of these guys are more like 23 or something, So that's
I think
It's a big deal.
Pittman has a decent chance to be great because all the other receivers are getting old. I know their quarterback thing is up in the air, but I actually like behind. I agree with Jefferson. Lamb's really good, but you do wonder if Dak's back. He could be really good like Juju was with Antonio Brown. I like Chase Claypool, I think, the best. I mean, his biggest cap is how long has Big Ben around, but it seems like it's a done deal that Juju's out of town, and Claypool has been trending up and up and up. He's got somebody else. He's got a wide receiver one to take the pressure off him, but it doesn't even matter. He doesn't need that. I think he's got one of the biggest upsides personally, but I don't value him right now as highly as like T. Higgins and CeeDee Lamb and them.
I think I saw that he like already has the most touchdowns for a rookie receiver or something, or at least like up until this point.
I think he's tied.
Yeah,
9
so
touchdowns in 9 games.
he is just a touchdown machine. So I mean I could see it. And
somebody said, we haven't mentioned this guy yet. Somebody said that Jalen Reagor could end up being like a Deshaun Jackson for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I was like, well, Deshaun Jackson, he's kind of short. I know he's really fast. Was he really that good? I went and looked at his rookie in his younger years, and he dominated.
he was a beast. Yeah.
It was incredible.
So
Yep.
I don't know. Jalen Reagor is as good as Deshaun Jackson, but Philadelphia loves to throw it.
I haven't seen that out of him. He looks like a solid young player for sure.
Yeah. Well, what's going on with Carson Wentz? I swear every time we think he's going to have a good game, he shits the bed. And whenever everyone drops him or benches him, he goes off against like the Steelers or the Ravens.
He's trying to get benched. He's got Jalen Hurts on his dynasty team.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine as if Jalen Hurts took over? Yeah, I don't know. Carson Wentz is a very, very strange player.
Yeah, and I was super high on him coming into the season. I was like, man, he took that team to 9-7 into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And this happens this year, and I'm just like, huh, never mind.
He fumbles so
Who makes
much.
the playoffs in the NFC East?
The Eagles.
Probably the Eagles, but the Giants have been looking nice these past couple weeks.
I was gonna say the Giants are trending up.
That is maybe the worst division I've ever seen. There was that one year where like, what was it? The Seahawks. Some team made it at 7 and 9.
It was 2010. The Seahawks made it at 7 and 9,
Yeah.
and 2008 the Chargers made it at 8 and 8.
It's insane. But hey guys, I have to hop off here, so I'm gonna cut the video and just start uploading it. But obviously you guys can hang out, but I gotta get out of here. So thanks for everyone that joined. Sorry, Zombie, you didn't really get to be showcased much, but you know, we had a lot of discussion going on. So yeah, thanks to everybody, and you know, it was me and Picard for a while, and then slowly some people dripped in. So that was a lot of fun. I appreciate everybody coming along and having some fun and chatting about our league. And yeah, so that's the end of our semi-bi-weekly podcast. Thanks for listening if you guys weren't in here, and I'm going to stop recording. I'm bad at ending this, so thanks, guys.